Alright, we're back continuing to play Lantern Control with our Profane Tutor build. On to round 4, currently 3-0, looking to continue going. Our first hand that we opened here, I elect to mulligan. I think it's a 1-lander. Yes, it has kind of our 2 key pieces, but it doesn't really have a reliable way of finding that second land. If one of these prismatic endings were either Lantern or a Mishra's Bauble, I think I'd be much more likely to keep it. But as it is, I elect to mulligan here. And I think here is a reasonable hand. It's not great on the play like we are, as pending isn't gonna have any targets until next turn. But overall, I think it's fine, and we elect to just put the Glimmer Void to the bottom. Obviously, I'm not thrilled with it, but I think it has kind of enough interactive elements. And unfortunately, we're against Mill. Mill is generally not a great matchup for us, as they kind of attack on an axis that Bridge doesn't really shut down. We do get to exile their first crab, and unfortunately they have another one. Game 1 at least, it's kind of going to be like either Academy Ruins or just swinging with Constructs is our only real win con here, as their deck is pretty well suited against what we're trying to do. Just a lot of their interaction lines up nicely, and Tasha's Hideous Laughter that they play is a very, very strong card against us. I've definitely had games with playing against Tasha's where it just takes like half my library is gone in one card, and importantly those are all exiled, so Academy Ruins can't get them back. We are going to try to make constructs with Saga here. Unfortunately, they have a Field of Ruin, so we just get one. Better than nothing, but still one. Fortunately, we do have one basic to fetch here. And they cast a Surgical on our Codex Shredder. This is pretty... I'd say it's pretty bad. Not totally game breaking, as with Academy Ruins we can be at 0 cards. However, it leaves us with a max of 2 mill rocks if we get everything out, so obviously Surgical is quite good against us. And so we elect to Thoughtseize here, and we kind of have to take the Jace, and I think the Jace, just being able to draw them 3 cards here, just like play a land, draw 3, just puts them in such, and it'll draw them 6, as they'll be able to block with a Ruin Crab. I think it just puts them in such a commanding position that there's basically no way for us to come back from a Jace. And yeah, Mastery can exile a token and Sanity will mill us, but I think this game is definitely slipping away. We do get to remove the crab and get in there with the construct. Unfortunately, with their Field of Ruin, the construct is not very big and doesn't have a second one, so the clock from it is very slow. And yeah, if we're only hitting them for 2 a turn, they are going to find that critical mass of mill spells that they need in order to kill us. If we take a look at their graveyard here, one thing to note is that Academy Ruins has not been milled yet, meaning it's one of the last 20 cards in our deck. If we can get lucky and spike it, we might have a better shot. I think this game is just slipping pretty far away from us here. If Moto could work a bit better, that would be nice. But at this point we're pretty far behind. They do have an answer to our one dude if it gets too big, but definitely a tough matchup. I think I'll try to speed through the rest of it. There isn't too much going on. They end up drawing Jace into Fatal Push for the construct. Not here. But yeah, we're gonna run out the land. There's no real reason to hold it. I guess you could hold enough cards to play Ensnaring Bridge to then buff your construct token, but that's not very realistic, I don't think. Sorry, they draw the Fatal Push and then the Jace had the order backwards. But Jace here, can mill us for either our entire library, or it just draws them 3. And I like to concede here as they hit the Academy Ruins. There's basically no set of draws that we can draw here that with Codex Shredder gone, and we have no way of getting Academy Ruins back, and so we just lose this one. Hopefully, sideboarding, we have some answers for them. Leyline kind of helps a bit. I've elected not to play Elixir of Immortality. Some people are playing it in their Profane Tutor list. Obviously, that would be a good card in this matchup, but I'm not playing it, so we'll see if we can get them back in the next one. As we sideboard for Mill, the first thing we're going to want to cut is Ensnaring Bridge. Their only creatures are Subtlety, which is likely coming out in this matchup. So if anyone's going to be attacking for the win, it's going to be us. All their crabs are 0 power, so Bridge is an easy cut. Underworld's Cookbook, they're not aggressive. We don't really care about emptying our hand quickly. Easy cut again. And Grafdigger's Cage, they don't really use their graveyard much. We don't use that. It's just not relevant, not for this matchup. In terms of what we're bringing in the Leyline. Things like Tasha's still say each opponent, which it gets around Leyline, but they have enough between their archive traps. Hedron Crabs still targets. They still have some targeted removal that it's definitely worth it and definitely better than Bridge. We bring in Surgical, as we will like to combine it with Discard to kind of take many of their key threats. And finally, we bring in that 4th Needle, just as we saw with Ghost Quarter, Field of Ruin, Engineered Explosives, Odawara. They have enough stuff to name that the Pithing Needle is definitely worth it. So, Bridge out is kind of the key thing in this matchup, and let's see how this sideboard plan does. As we get into game 2, we start off in a mulligan. I don't think this hand does that much for us. Yes, we can use Bauble to kind of filter. I think if I was playing Elixir of Immortality in my deck, I'd be more likely to keep it, being able to get it with Profane Tutor. But here I just don't think that we have a super strong game plan here. It's hard to construct a couple first 3 turns where we're actually very productive. Additionally, our only Mill Rock in hand is the one that exiles, which doesn't really work well with our Surgicals that we want to use against them. And I just think we have better hands between having Leyline and Urza's Saga, which are kind of the cards we want to see in this matchup in the deck, and just having neither of those really hurts. Now this one I'm much more inclined to keep, as we have Lantern plus double Mill Rock and Thoughtseize. Bit unfortunate that these are the Mill Rocks that mill ourselves too, so we'll be helping them out, but not too much you can do. We put one of them to the bottom, as Pithing Needle is still a relevant card in this matchup, and so we will like to have it. And we lead on Thoughtseize here. As I've talked about in other matches, I play Thoughtseize against counterspell decks later. Mill is a counterspell deck, but resolving Bridge is not important in this matchup. It's a card we take out, so we don't have to worry about it, and therefore I play the Thoughtseizes earlier than I would against other blue decks. Looking at their hand here, we have the Pithing Needle to answer the Engineered Explosives. Double Crab is going to be pretty hard to fight through here. I think it's obviously they're gonna keeping them off lands is basically impossible, so definitely rough if we can't find an answer to the double crabs. But an archive trap, we're not gonna search too much without an Urza's Saga or a Profane Tutor, so that is definitely gonna be farther down the line. But the Tasha's is the card to go here, especially in this list. Playing Profane Tutor plus Mishra's Bauble, Tasha's is gonna take so much of the deck. Everything essentially costs 1 except for Ensnaring Bridge, which we sided out. So Leyline costs 4, and that's basically it for the deck. Of course, we top deck a Leyline here right on time. Love to see it. And you just run out a Moto works here, I believe. Yeah, we're gonna play Lantern and Pixis, and we see yet another crab on top, which would be their 3rd crab. We probably should have exiled it. As you'll see how this game goes, it doesn't make much of a difference. I'll kind of fast forward through it here. There isn't a ton that really matters. We use the Surgical to shuffle away the Field of Ruin, but they have 3 crabs. We don't have creatures that we're able to use for anything. We Surgical the Tashas, but at this point we're just really really behind here, I would say. And because we only have 2 lands, the Ghost Quarter is very good. But if we had more lands, you might consider saying no to the shuffle trigger to get the Profane Tuner on top. But yeah, here, just even if they only had 2 crabs here, like we don't have any pressure on them. When we lock them, we kind of have to keep them off crabs. Like we can keep them off mill spells, hopefully drawing like mostly lands. But yeah, at this point we're very dead with like we can't keep them off lands and all their threats. So kind of too bad that we didn't see Urza Saga, which is kind of our only realistic kind of Urza Saga or Academy Ruins are kind of our only realistic plans to win this matchup. I think overall it is still a very difficult matchup. They're definitely vastly favored, but we kind of take a tough loss here in round 4, but hopefully we can still fight for the 4-1 in round 5 tomorrow.